I'm your host, Samantha Stone. We're going to talk about all the things that are happening around the city. We've got some great stuff happening. And as always, our first guest is Mayor Scott Galvin. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Samantha.
I was really touched. I think it was over the weekend. I saw a post that was talking about the Special Olympics promotion, torch run, I think is what that was called, that the police department participated in. And it's just another way that our community pulls together for each other. I thought that was really nice.
It was good. It was good. It was good to see the police, who are always looking to get involved in community events. So the department does a good job.
Yeah, that's great. One of the other things that's been happening is I know there were some teachers that were outside the schools at the end of last week, sort of holding signs. I know I'm going to ask you sort of where we are with contracts and things, but the signs didn't indicate an action of any kind, just sort of general support teachers. Historically, that has been when negotiations are happening aren't going so well. I don't know that that's the case here, but thought I would just give you an opportunity to talk about where we're at and what we know so far.
Really, I think we've been negotiating. We've been, from what I thought, we've been moving along, heading in the right direction. And one of the things to stress is we are still under contract, which is the contract doesn't expire until the end of August. So it's a little different. I'm not, usually when you see them, any group holding out signs, it's usually when they've been without a contract for a while. But in this case, we're working. We're trying to get a deal done before the contract expires. So, that's again, something you may want to bring up with their union, but I feel things are moving along, moving in the right direction. We've had very, I think, productive discussions, so that's good. And then on the other end, with what we've been doing on the city side of contracts, we are settled with most of the contracts. We have 2 open still at this point, 2 unsettled contracts, but the others have all been settled for 3 years. We're still working on the police contract and the library, but all the other unions have been settled. So we're doing pretty well. We're in good shape. And like I said, with the teachers, we've been meeting with the union. We've been working in a positive light. So I think that things are going well.
Good. Well, I'm happy to hear that. I hope that we're able to do this. It's great when that can happen before contracts are ending, so that it gives you time to talk and chat and plan forward. So that is good news. Thanks for the update. The last little city thing that I wanted to bring up was looks like a recycle drive that's happening at City Hall this weekend for very specific things. It was like batteries and mercury containing things, which the only ones that I know of, light bulbs. Maybe there's other mercury, I guess thermometer. Yeah. I don't know what else carries mercury, but that is a special thing that's happening as well.
Yeah, that's going on this weekend. That's the Board of Health has been doing those for a while. So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one for people to get rid of some of their some items that have been storing up in their garage or basement.
Yeah, good excuse for spring cleaning again, right? Get out there. I love it. Anything else happening across the city you wanted to bring up?
Tonight is the budget hearing. City Council's holding a hearing on the FY23 budget. They'll adopt it in some fashion, whether they adopt it as submitted or they can make reductions. And they could also, in special circumstances, they could make additions to the school budget if they felt warranted. But they'll be meeting tonight and going through line by line to make a decision on the budget. So that starts at 7.
Okay, that's an important one. So
yes,
thank you for joining us. I'm going to let you go because I know you need to prepare for that meeting. But we're grateful for you coming on every week as always. Appreciate it.
Good. Thanks, Samantha.
Thank you. So next up, we have Phil Gordon, who's with Social Capital Inc. And I should know this already because we've spoken a few times. Do you prefer Phil or Philip?
I guess I prefer Phil. I put it on my name tag. That's how most people know me these days, but I do answer to Philip. So.
Good. Well, you are looking really sharp today. I mean, you always look nice, but you got a suit and tie on. What's the occasion?
It was a special occasion because we did our official flag raising for Juneteenth early this afternoon. So it's my second time seeing the mayor today, and we had a nice little crew out. I'm sure you'll see a picture in the local paper in the next day or two. So yeah, glad to dress up and figured out keep the outfit on for this.
Well, I'm so glad that you did, and I love it. And I love the idea of seeing that flag and the pride flag waving boldly across our city. It's really, really awesome. And we're going to talk a lot about this weekend, because we have some, I know this is the second annual Juneteenth celebration, right? And it's bigger and better than ever. So tell us what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot happening, I guess, in terms of the new additions. We have a really awesome keynote speaker that we're super excited about, Mr. Michael Curry. He is the CEO of the Massachusetts League of Community Health Centers, as well as being on the national NAACP board of directors for since like 2014. Before that, he was the president of the Boston NAACP chapter and did a lot of groundbreaking things with that chapter. So we're really excited to have him as well, and looking forward to his address. But we also have a really awesome virtual presentation and Q&A with Dr. Bernard Lafayette. And if you don't know of this gentleman, he is a giant in the civil rights movement, played a leading role in the early organizing of the Selma voting rights movement, and close friend of John Lewis, the late John Lewis, who I know many people know. So he's actually going to be zooming in from Tennessee. We did try really hard to get him in person, but he's in his 80s now and still restricting his travel due to COVID. But we are just really excited that he's going to be a part of our event on Saturday, and we're going to have a Q&A moderated by Andrew Lipset, who's on the school committee and also a history teacher at Woburn High.
I could just picture Andrew beaming over this. He must be so excited. What a dream opportunity for him and for all of us to be able to listen in. Yeah.
So there's actually a form where the community can kind of submit different questions, and I can definitely share that with Jennifer or Lauren afterwards to share out. We'd love to get some community input before Saturday in terms of what we would love to know about Dr. Lafayette and his experiences. So that's great. But we also have a few other things. We've got a local artist exhibit. We're featuring 3 Black artists who are based in the Boston area, one of whom is actually a Woburn resident, and his name is Joey James. You might have noticed our Juneteenth banner is up in front of City Hall. He also designed that banner for us, so we're super excited for that. We're also going to have a student art exhibit that's going to be in the library, as well as various student performances, singing, speeches, spoken word. The Woburn Memorial High School step team is going to do a performance as well, so I'm really excited for that. And then we have a few different food vendors that are going to be here. We've got a beer garden that is going to be run by Berkshire Brewing Company, so I'm excited about that. In terms of getting some different craft beers that we might not get out as much as possible on this side of Massachusetts, and of course music. So we're gonna have some music as well. So really exciting. It's a lot bigger than last year, but we're really excited about how it's all coming together and hoping for a great turnout on Saturday and some good weather.
It's fantastic. No matter what the weather is, we can go out and have a good time. So yeah. I'm thrilled about that. And it's on the library lawn, or in a combination of inside the library and the lawn, or?
Yeah, so it's going to be actually inside and outside the library, and it's not going to be on the lawn. It's actually going to be in the back parking lot, the kind of new parking lot. So that's going to be kind of closed off to the public, and we're going to have our kind of podium out there. We're going to start with a short kind of speaking program. So first half hour is going to be speaking program, then we're going to move to some of the student performances, and then it's just going to kind of continue on from there. We have a number of things happening inside the library. So there's going to be multiple kind of children's activities happening in the children's room. We're also going to have in the program room is where the artist exhibit is being set up. And so people will be able to kind of walk in and check that out on their own time, beginning the whole time, 1 to 4. We're also going to have a photo booth that's going to be kind of right on that downstairs floor. So definitely check that out. On the main floor of the library, in the Baker space, we're going to have the student art exhibit. And then in the Richardson Gallery, starting at 2 p.m., that's where Dr. Bernard Lafayette's going to give his presentation. And we're also going to have some of the kind of student speeches following that. And I think that's it. Yeah.
That's a lot.
Covered it all.
Thank you for going all of that. And really, I know you've really, there's a group of people who are participating in organizing, but you've certainly been the heart and soul behind getting all this stuff done, and a big important push and passion for it. So we're so grateful to you and the whole team for pulling this together for our community. I know we're selling t-shirts right now as a fundraiser for as well. I ordered mine. I have to go pick it up. I haven't quite picked it up yet, but we'll make sure to pass along to Jen the URL where they can be purchased.
Yeah, so I'll drop the link in the chat. Everything can be found, all the event info, and you can also buy t-shirts at socialcapitalink.org/Juneteenth. Scroll the bottom of the page. And if you don't order it before, we're going to have t-shirts that you can buy on the day of the event. So don't worry about it. But if you want your t-shirt before you get to the event, make sure you order it before Friday, and you can pick it up this Friday at the library, just at the main desk. And just to your earlier point, yes, I'm the face, maybe, I guess you could say, but it's been a massive kind of community event in terms of organizing it. A lot of different organizations, a lot of different people. The mayor's office has been huge, the DPW, police department. There's way more to name here, so I'm going to save that for the event. But this is really, to your point, I think you made earlier with your conversation with the mayor, it's really about the community coming together and honoring our past, and then kind of continuing to forge a better future. So super excited about it. Glad I can help facilitate something like this, but it's really not just me.
Well, one person couldn't do all this, and really, it's such a great, and I'm personally very excited because typically I'm out of town this weekend, but I'm going to be here, so I get to come this year. I didn't get to last year, so I'm thrilled. And that just leads me to my last question. I know there's a cadre of volunteers who are helping organize and support this event on site. Is there anything that you need that you want the community to know about before they come? Any area that you're looking for some additional help or helping hands?
Yeah, we definitely could use some more help in terms of having hands to set up and break down. That's usually where the heavy lifting, literally and figuratively, comes in. So I will definitely we have a quick, really easy volunteer form. People want to fill that out. I'll share that with your team via email. But yeah, we would love to have volunteers. Even if you sign up on Friday, or just show up and just want to help out after the event's over, we're welcome to have anybody who can help. So
great. I'm not sure how much heavy lifting I can do, but I'm really good at organizing. So I'll be sure to fill that and come ahead of time a little bit early to help. Whatever needs to be, tables open, chairs put away, whatever. But put us to work. So Phil, thank you so much for your conversation today. I'm really excited to see you and everyone on Saturday. I hope a lot of people are able to make it.
Yeah, same. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure, and really appreciate the support.
Excellent. Next up, Liz Connolly, who I checked her name ahead of time to see if it was Elizabeth or Liz. So thanks for joining us, Liz. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
I was really excited to see that, throughout these last few weeks, I've been seeing things pop up, both personal messages and then some group messages about high school students who are really engaged in our community and asking for feedback about ideas they had or we have about challenges and opportunities to do better and more and make Woburn even better than it already is. Tell us a little bit about what was actually happening behind the scenes that was spurring all of this interest and passion.
So I'm very proud of the students. So the state of Massachusetts actually about 3 years ago passed a law that students would have to engage as part of their graduation. We would have to offer a civics project, a civic action project. And so everybody in Massachusetts, all students participate in this now. So at the 8th grade level, and we've chosen the junior year at the high school, students will be completing these projects. And it's a 6-week project. It's a huge undertaking for both the students and the staff. And so this was our first year doing it fully implemented. We'd done sort of smaller versions due to COVID, but this was the first year that we actually kind of could release the kids to go out and really see it in its full scale. So it's been really cool to see it finally come to fruition after a couple of years of figuring out the best way to approach it. This is for us, they have an MCAS test that they take in math and science. And as of right now, this is sort of, we're calling it our version of the MCAS. So instead of a test, kids are doing an action project.
I can't tell you how happy it makes me for that in every level possible. I know tests are part of our world, but the idea of applying and in our own communities, these ideas and thoughts and things, and figuring out that, there's a lot of components, right? They were doing research and they're presenting and they're, kind of figuring these things out, and what a great experience. And my understanding is this year, for the first time, the students also presented to the mayor and I think some city department heads as well. Tell us a little bit about how that day went.
Yeah, so actually they presented to multiple people. So part of the project requirement of the state, there's 6 stages, and one of the stages they have to participate in is engaging with stakeholders. So in an attempt to kind of be more equitable, we didn't want to just send the kids off to find the stakeholders. We didn't feel that was really fair. So we tried to bring the stakeholders to them. So we had Representative Hagerty came down and met with them. The mayor came down. We had DPW, Parks Department, Police Chief, you name a city department head, and they were really helpful about working with the kids. And additionally, we had staff within the school. So kids met with food services to advocate for a more diverse menu options. They met with the principal, they met with the superintendent, the assistant superintendent. So they really had the opportunity to meet with many stakeholders. Some of them used the stakeholder meetings to ask questions that they had about their projects, and others used it to sort of pitch their ideas. I think that was a really important experience for students to have, because how many of us as adults don't necessarily get to engage with the key stakeholders in our community? And so for 17-year-olds to do that and to be so eloquent and to have these really good ideas. And I think sometimes to have the experience of, you can have really good ideas, but it's not always as easy as just having the idea. You've got a lot of things have to fall into place. So I think it was a really great opportunity for them to meet with people that maybe they otherwise would not have been able to connect with.
Yeah, I feel really spoiled because I do this show now, which didn't start as a weekly thing. I get to meet and speak with folks like yourselves and so many people in the community that I honestly probably wouldn't have otherwise. And I take it as such a gift to be able to do that. And so programs like this that connect students to people, and that's not always easy, right? It's like you described, we present our ideas and we want, all of us, we want fanfare and we want immediate action. And one of the reasons I didn't go into public service, even though that was my initial intention coming out of college, and I have an economics degree, and that's what I was supposed to do with my life. I didn't have the patience for it, quite frankly. And so I ended up taking a very different path, which I love and am grateful for. But understanding the process of having from ideation to implementation is something to expose ourselves to all the time. Are there any of the ideas that students had that look like they may go beyond this initial pitch idea and might proceed forward? I'd love to hear about some of those things that might.
Yes, so some of the students are still wrapping up the final pieces. We had our showcase last week at the high school where the kids, they did 2 things. They did a digital portfolio that is available, and I'll share that link with your staff, that anybody could go on and check out the work the kids did. And then they also had to create kind of an old school trifold poster where they shared what their work was. But some of them were still wrapping up pieces of it, because it is tough to do an action by the time you research and engage with your stakeholders. They had about 2 weeks to complete the action piece. What we told students was we wanted them to create the action plan as if there was no limit, as if they could move mountains. And then we asked them to understand that they maybe wouldn't make it all the way to the end of the action plan, but to make as many steps as they could, to move the needle just a little bit. And our hope was that they came away with this idea that change is possible, even if you can't do the big thing, by taking these small steps and kind of pushing through, that you can move the needle and you can work towards that goal. But that being said, there's a few things that I think actually are going to come to fruition. For the first time this year, we partnered the annual essay contest at the high school used to connect with Student Government Day. This year we switched it, and the Civics Project now connected with Student Government Day. So last week we had 26 kids participate in the 67th annual Student Government Day. And what we tried to do is the students that won, we tried to pair them up with somebody in the government that reflected the project that they did. And one of our students and her team, they had worked on a website that would, mental health was a huge topic this year for students. And they created a website that would be student friendly. So if a student was in the bathroom and maybe upset, or was just at school and kind of wanted help but didn't necessarily even have the words or know who to go to, they could scan this QR code and that would pop up with, here's your guidance counselor, here's some language you can use to access it, here's all these other free things that we have available. And so she was paired up with the IT director at City Hall for the day, and he linked her to the main Woburn website and is now engaged in working with her to further that project. So that's just one example. We have kids that are really pushing to change some curriculum. We have kids that are pushing to add a wellness prayer room at the high school. So for students that have to pray during the day, they would have a space to be able to do that. So some of these things might not happen until the fall. We have a student group very interested in bringing sign language to the high school. So a lot of things that are still in the process, but I think they've started the momentum. And our hope is that even if this particular group doesn't complete the project, next year's group might be able to pick up and keep the momentum going.
Oh, those are all such incredible ideas, and I'm so excited to hear some of those things are moving forward. I'm sure for some students it was frustrating, exciting, nervous, anxiety riding, like all of those things. For those students who maybe haven't been able to see things move in the direction they want, or aren't sure what their next step is, what advice would you give them for how to think about this experience and what to do next?
So I think the big goal of the state, and so therefore our goal was, and it's a little hard to kind of understand this, I guess, sometimes when you're a student, but it wasn't really to actually even get to the end of the project, but to understand the process and to understand that you have access to your officials and that people in the government do work on your behalf, and that it is within your rights to reach out to these people and to write letters and to make action. And so I think for some students, the big takeaway is when they see a change that they want to make, it can be very easy to say, we want change, but how do we get change? Well, we have to make action. We have to take action. And so I'm hoping this kind of gave a roadmap for kids of how you would do that. As they go on and graduate, we want them to be active civic participants. We want them to, I told the kids last week, we teach you all these different subject areas and we send you off and we hope that you use those subjects in the future. But the one thing that you'll use, whether or not you choose to engage in it, is the civic system. You're part of it, whether or not you choose to participate. And so our hope is that they will choose to participate and that they'll have a voice. And when they do have things they want changed, when they want to move the needle, they'll know the first step. Okay, I can get information from my neighbors. I can go to my alderman. I can, these are the steps I can take to make change.
And what kind of feedback did you get from students who participated? And I'm sure 8th grade students and junior and high school students had very different kinds of experiences just because of their age and experience and maturity and what comes next for them. But overall, how did students respond to this project?
So we're still in the process of that. Next week, the kids are going to give their final reflection and we'll be able to get that kind of final piece of feedback. As with anything, our first year through, there were some quirks that we need to work out. And we're certainly aware of that and making opportunity and spaces for students to give that feedback. I heard a lot of positive things from kids. I think that, a lot of the feedback was around they wish they had more time to implement some of these projects. And we heard that, and we're going to do the best we can to accommodate that in the future. That actually makes me happy that they wanted more time to get some of these projects done because it meant that they were engaged. And so I think the timeline will maybe shift a little bit, and next year it will actually be part of their US course in just kind of a quirk of scheduling. It was our world history classes that did it this year. So I think next year, I hope the project will have even more meaning because they'll have wrapped up their studies of different movements in history. And I think it'll be a more natural segue, but I hope the kids had a good experience, and I hope what they leave with is this idea that their voice matters and that they can make change.
Love it. So you talked a little bit about some of the things you might do differently last year, just in terms of the timing of the projects. Anything else that we think about as we move forward that's either students or the city in general or us as residents, how we can participate and make this the most positive experience possible for the students who someday may come back and be running for a public office and helping lead us?
Well, it's funny you say that. There was one of our students learned through the process of researching that they could actually run for, I think it was school committee or some public office at 18. And they were very excited by that idea. So I think that's really great that some of them even maybe have aspirations of public office. You know, what we're going to do at the end of this year is sit down with the teachers that participated, because this was also a really big undertaking for our teachers, and take the student feedback and kind of sit down and debrief and decide how can we make this even better. And at that point, we'll probably be reaching out to community and stakeholders to see how can we improve this. I'd like to see it get bigger. We had hoped, so our kids showcased at the high school. My hope was for this year, and it couldn't work this year, but my hope next year is that they'll showcase around the city, so that kids that worked with the library, for example, would showcase at the library. The kids that worked with City Hall would showcase at City Hall. So I would love to see our civic showcase become a citywide event where different civic groups are participating, and that it really is a community where the people in the community can come through and see the kids work, so they can really show up how, because they really truly worked very hard. And I really want them to have that opportunity.
Well, I think it's great. And please know that students have an open invitation to use this show. And I know Woburn Public Media works with a lot of students already to do things, but if there's things that we can do to help support their efforts and their ideas and sharing those ideas to reach out, because it sounds like some incredible, good, well thought out things were developed and will continue to develop over time, I'm sure.
Yes, thank you. The kids were, I'm incredibly impressed at the depth of their questions that they came up with, and really just the finesse and understanding that they came to some of these issues that I think adults even grapple with. So we will certainly be reaching out to the community next year when we attempt this again.
Well, this is fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us and for helping make sure that our students have this incredible opportunity, you know, coming out of lots of restrictions with COVID, to really see this to its fullest potential and set us up really well for next year. And as always, Woburn, please continue to take good care of each other.